Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll show you how to sew a jacket slit with lining. By the end, we hope this technique will feel much easier for you. A quick side note before we start. Your pattern pieces for a slit include small rectangles cut on the sewing piece. The left side is called underlap. The right we'll call fold line. These are essential for finishing the slit properly, so make sure you don't cut them off. We always cut them in the same way and will fold them differently later. Depending on your fabric, we suggest ironing on interfacing for the hem and underlap for more durability. Depending on your sewing pattern, you may have already closed the middle seam. Just make sure to stop at the slit notch. On the right side, fold along the fold edge and press. On the left side, place the underlap over the right side and fold in the seam allowance. Now clip the seam allowance above the underlap up to the seam. Press open the seam allowances of the center seam. Fold the hem allowance up and press. For the lining, the center seam is also closed up to the slit notch. Depending on the pattern, this may already be done. You can see that the lining is only as long as the folded hem, meaning it is shorter than the jacket. On the lining hem, mark the edge of the folded up outer fabric. Sew the lining onto the underlap up to the edge of the folded outer fabric hem. Press. Note here that we've only sewn until the marked outer edge of the outer fabric. On the right underlap, mark the edges of your outer fabric. Trim off the excess lining along the marked edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Clip diagonally up to the marked edge. Turn the lining seam allowance to the inside. It must be folded in exactly along the edge of the underlap. Now stitch the lining onto the right fold. Again, only sew up to the edge of the folded outer fabric. Fold the resulting triangle of lining fabric to the inside and stitch it to the outer fabric by hand with an invisible stitch. To prevent the slit from tearing later, sew a line across the top of the slit. First baste, then sew from the right side by machine for final reinforcement. Remove basting threads. In the last step, fix the lining to the turned-in hem edge. For this, sew mitered corners. To do so, mark the inner corner as well as the two meeting points on the outer fabric. Place the fabric right sides together so that a triangle is formed. Mark the edge and sew. Trim close to the edge, turn right side out. You now have a beautiful edge of your outer fabric and only need to fix the lining to your lower hem. Now stitch the lining seam allowance to the hem edge. Follow the markings. Press in the extra fullness of the lining. This creates wearing ease. Finally, stitch the lining to the slit edge on the side by hand with an invisible stitch. Now repeat the same steps on the other side. That means first marking all your edges and making the mitered corner. Later, you'll sew the lining to your lower edge of the outer fabric and hand sew the side edge. Do you have questions? Drop us a comment below and we'll try to help you. For more sewing tips and tutorials, please subscribe to our YouTube account or visit our shop sistermagpatterns.com.